Welcome to the Nourish You podcast, where we question the traditional model of dieting and nutrition and focus on choice, fun, and health for the whole mind, body, and spirit. I'm Jana Maurer, a non-traditional registered dietitian and well-being expert, and I want to challenge you to take 2% of your day today, listen to this episode, and make this your health win for the day. Pop in your earbuds, strap on your walking shoes, or pour a big glass of wine, whatever you need for today, and tune out the world as much as you can for the next 30 minutes, and let's fill up your cup. All right, welcome back to the Nourish You podcast. Today I have guest Amanda Marchini with me, which is so awesome. Amanda and I actually know each other for years and have recently reconnected. And I'm so excited to share a little bit more about what Amanda is passionate about and also share her story and where to really get started now that it's the new year. I can't believe it's already 2023, which is insane. But during this time, it's really a great opportunity to set some goals, to really get started. And so that's what we're going to focus on for today's podcast. Amanda, thank you so much for being willing to give some of your time for the Nourish You podcast today.
Of course. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about your own wellness journey. What does it look like?
Gosh. So I always say my wellness journey actually started with my mom. I have grown up living a wellness lifestyle within, its own set of boundaries, and it's definitely evolved. We grew up like eating organically whenever we could, using like cleaner cleaning products. And at the time, now that I look back on it, I'm like, oh, I don't know how much better that necessarily was, but it was better than the alternative, right, at the time. And I think as wellness, the industry itself, we do too, right? But I remember, we had like the safer version of the cleaning products. We used essential oils, and I was always the kid who like smelled like tea tree oil, and everyone, and we'd get a hangnail, and I'm like, I don't want that. I just want medicine, like all the other kids.
Yeah.
But so just things like that. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like we did all these things, but we still had, Cocoa Puffs was my favorite breakfast. Like
Balance.
we did the best balance, totally. And I always like the quote, like, you do the best you can until you know better, and when you know better, you do better. And I think that's how my mom raised us. And so we just did the best we could, and she always knew a little bit. I feel like she's always like ahead of the trend, and then once we knew better, we did better. And then I just started incorporating that lifestyle into my lifestyle as I became an adult and, a mother. I have 2 kids, they're 4 and 2. It's all I've known. And so I feel like it's just part of who I am. And then now that I have just lived this lifestyle, now it's just become my lifestyle, but also like a passion of mine. And we just don't know any other way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I being in the wellness space, if you will, like I know a lot of people that are, passionate about wellness or, they've lived a healthy lifestyle, their entire adult life, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily passionate about it as far as like being an advocate for other people to join in. So
Yes.
what makes you want to be an advocate, right? Like that's a choice to be able to share your voice and like encourage people to also join in. So where does that passion come from for you?
2 things. It comes from the fact that I feel like the world we live in today doesn't have enough voices and doesn't have enough people advocating for our health. And wellness, just general wellness, and so I feel like a lot of it stems from that. A lot of it stems from the fact that there's so much information, there's so much misinformation, and there's a lack of understanding for just, like I said, just general everyday wellness. And I feel like people get confused and overwhelmed with like, what does this expert say? What does this doctor say? And my doctor told me this, and my doctor didn't even know about this when I told them. When I was younger, this is a backstory. I was in junior high and I was, now I know, misdiagnosed with celiac disease. But at the time I was diagnosed with celiac. In the process, they were prescribing me Aveeno everything: shampoo, conditioner, body wash, lotion, like literally everything. Aveeno. Well, it's oatmeal, it's oats.
Mhm.
And I mean, I was taking baths, like bathing in it. And I went back to my doctor and I said, I think I'm allergic to the oats. And he's like, no, that's not possible. They're good for you. Like, it's soothing for your skin. And it's like, not my skin. I mean, I'm sitting here in a full body rash in your office. And so, like, even the doctor didn't know. Right. And at the time, gosh, I'm going to age myself, but for 20 plus years ago, um, it was so new. And
Yeah.
so, even my doctor didn't know. Right. So, doctors, they're, the experts, but they're learning too, right? And with, the way everything evolves with medicine and science, it's ever changing. And so I feel like with people not knowing, who do I listen to? Do I listen to the expert? Do I listen to this Instagram account? Do I listen to my doctor? Or do I listen to this person who is just a regular mom like me, who I really relate to, who lives this lifestyle, knows, the basic things to do, and it worked for her, and she's done her research, like that, and so I feel like we need more people like me who, I'm not claiming to be an expert on, anything. I'm not a doctor, but I am claiming to share, like, this is what's worked for me for my entire life. And I'm doing the research and I'm educating myself, and through trial and error and just genuine passion for thinking that everyone would be better off if they just took care of themselves, then I, like, I know personally, of course, we need doctors, and there's a place and a time for experts and the professionals. But I also find so much comfort in just knowing, like, I connect with you and I want to do what you're doing because you look like you have it all together. You look healthy, you seem healthy. Like, that's where I find that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
and also in that story, Amanda, like I hear two things. I hear like being an advocate for your own health, like and knowing, like this is not working for me. And also like it's a reminder that every single human being is actually a case study.
Yeah.
Like we we know science, right? Like, but those are based on like averages and generalizations, and that sometimes doesn't work for the individual, right? Like
Yeah.
you are completely individualized. Your DNA, everything about you is different than the person that's
Yeah.
standing next to you. And so I love that it sounds like it was a learning about, what works and wasn't what doesn't work for you, and being able to be part of your care team, right? Like so, and
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
doctor is necessary in certain instances,
Absolutely.
and also they aren't with you 24/7. So that's where you are
Right.
part of it to say like, hey, like this, obviously it's
Yes.
not working, right? And so I love that because I think that's really the goal of any health routine or wellness plan, if you will, is you are advocating for what you know to work best for your body, maybe regardless of what everyone else is doing, right? Like, because you're different and that's okay. Like, that's actually a
Right.
good thing. Like, we want to honor that
Yeah.
in so many different ways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
so tell me a little bit more about your story because I love that, like from an
Yeah.
oatmeal perspective, right? And like just the evolution, like the evolution of food. Like,
Yes.
I really resonate with that because when I became a dietitian because of my own struggle with food in the
Yeah.
sense of I was having really bad stomach pain. Like I was constantly in and out of doctor's offices. They couldn't, they didn't know what was going on. And I went to a GI specialist and he was like, oh, you're lactose intolerant. Just like take out all basically dairy at that time. But there was nothing else outside of that, right? Like there was no education, there was no advocacy of like even connecting with the dietitian or talking about food. And so I always think like now it's a different conversation because people have been able to share their stories and what has worked for them. And I think that that helps us like be able to connect the dots as well of like,
Mhm.
oh, like I'm going through the same thing, or like maybe if I change this, like more and more stories are being able to be shared through the power of platforms like Instagram or Facebook so that we don't feel like we're alone in this journey as well.
Exactly. Yes. And I think that's a really big part of it as well, is like storytelling and sharing stories and just finding, yeah, like people that you can relate to and connect with. And I mean, even that is part of your, your wellness journey, is making those connections with people and not just having these, various social media platforms as a screen that we hide behind and, like stalk at night when we're supposed to be in bed or whatever, just like scroll mindlessly. But like making these genuine connections. And I personally made a lot of connections with people in the wellness industry because of that, because I hear their story and I relate to it. I'm like, okay, that's, I can get on board with that because they're real and relatable. And yeah, I mean, your story, though different, is similar to mine in that we had to advocate for our own health and our own journey because you know your body and something didn't feel right. So I think giving people that, again, advocating for people to know that it's okay to advocate for themselves and stand up and say, like, okay, thanks, but we got to try something different because I just don't feel right in my body. And everyone just deserves to feel good in their bodies. And, this is what we
Yeah.
have. This is our home. Our bodies are our home and we got to take care of them.
So I remember a while back you and I were talking about like sometimes the things in order to take care of your body, like they're gonna look or feel like weird. And for those of you that aren't watching, I'm like air quoting this weird. And I think this like also connects with how you said like we need more voices, we need more people that are sharing like what they're doing to take care of their body. Cause it seems like if we were to just look at it from a health perspective, like we're becoming more and more unhealthy as a nation, even though, like, and I always think this is interesting. Like, my brain goes a little like nerdy on this, even though there are more like voices being shared, and even though there are more like open conversations around wellness, we still have a trend of being more unhealthy as a society. So I'm wondering, what are some like weird, and again, I'm air quoting this, what are some like weird things that you do like every day or like every week that are like so grounding maybe, or just like so part of your wellness plan that help you feel like really good?
Oh my gosh. What is weird? Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm put on the spot. Nothing feels weird to me,
I love that.
um, oh my goodness. I'm drawing a blank.
Well, I know that I mean, so you work out at CrossFit,
Yeah, I do CrossFit.
and I know that you
Oh yeah.
shared like a bunch of like exercises that from the outside in, again,
Yeah.
looked like weird, but they're so normal and like necessary for your body. And I love actually how you said that. Like it doesn't feel weird to me because it is part of your normal. But I'm wondering,
Yeah.
like, from again, the outside
Okay.
in, if we were like someone like it's totally normal for you, but we don't see it in
Right.
society like often.
Um, I mean, definitely some exercises I do at the gym. I remember I was trying to like lose, I have scoliosis, and so my back gets tight sometimes. And I mean, this is like impossible to even picture, but there's an exercise to like open up your hips and you hang a fitness band from a bar, like a pull-up rig, and get in like get your legs inside of it and hang upside down and then like flip your body around. And it's just weird. I mean, it almost looks like, I don't know, like I'm like in a circus or something. And I do remember someone at the gym, the coach was over the front, and then there's two other members in, and they're like, "What is she doing over there?" And the coach could tell what I was doing. He's like, "Oh, she's opening up her hips and her back," and but it definitely looked like, I don't know, spider monkey ish, and um, so things like that. I guess like I I've learned to, I guess, not care. what people think, because there's a day definitely where I would not have done that because I look like a fool. People are
Yeah.
gonna like think I'm an idiot. Um, I mean, so things like that, I guess. I do grounding, not as often as I should or would like to. And I don't know if people would think that's weird, but if you're not familiar with grounding, or earthing is another name for it, um, it's just connecting with the earth. So going outside, being barefoot on the earth, and studies have shown that the actual like electrons earth, and it's just so good for our overall wellness and disease prevention and immunity and stress and all the things. Um, what would be weird, I think, is I really want there's a device and you can actually plug it into an outlet. And I didn't know this, but like, when you have like a three prong outlet, the bottom prong, like the little third hole, is to ground to like the outside to the earth. I didn't know that as far as outlets
Oh,
go. So
yeah.
you plug into the three prong and then you can connect it to your bed. And then you can get the grounding benefits in your bed. And I really want that. And my husband's like, no, no, absolutely not. We're not doing that. So like he thinks that's weird. I don't think it's weird. I think it would be amazing. But so like that that's something.
Yeah.
And he's super on board. He's all on board with our lifestyle and everything. But that's one thing he's like, yeah, no, we just go outside, take off your shoes, and go outside and go for a walk barefoot or something. So, but yeah, I don't know. I do. I just feel like everything I do for my wellness routine is totally normal. I don't know. I guess like if I were to have a conversation with someone, it might come up as weird, but just off the top of my head, I really just can't think of anything that's like quote unquote weird. I don't know.
Well, I love that so much because the more I think about it, the more that's actually like the goal, right? Like your wellness routine should feel like really comfortable to you, regardless
Yeah.
of, whatever one else. I remember like for myself, like when I was getting over my own like self as far as like, oh, what are people gonna think type thing. I remember I was traveling a lot for just like going back and forth to different places and was flying. And I remember sitting in the airport and thinking like, I am wasting time sitting in the airport. I could do so much like from an activity perspective here. And so I remember getting up and starting to like loop the seating area and like doing the stairs. And there was like, so, everyone's sitting there and I probably looped it like 10 different times. And people were just like looking at me like, why is she doing,
Yeah.
just walking around or whatever. And I ended up getting like 3,000 steps or something in the
Yeah.
time that was like waiting for the flight to get in and us to like board. And I was like, that, I'm okay with looking a little bit weird or them like
Right.
wondering like why is she doing that or whatnot, because it was actually benefiting my own routine and I was able to, get things done.
Yes.
And so I think that's a big one. Actually, I posted about that a
That's a
while back of
yeah.
like just get over your own self. Like
Yes.
people are gonna think whatever, but did you take care of you? That's all that matters.
Right. And that's a great example actually. But exactly, like I don't think that's weird. So I would not even be able to think of that because it's like, yeah, of course. Like I'm not going to sit there at the airport for 5 hours when I'm going to be on a plane for another 5 hours. Like get up and move your body. Excuse me. That's not weird though. But I feel like that's my goal. That's what I want. The message that I want to deliver to people is that shouldn't be weird. You walking around the airport to get your steps in, to get your exercise, to move your body shouldn't be weird. That should be the normal. The weird thing should be the 100 other people that are sitting there watching you move your body and walk and get exercise, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm sure you're similar in like bring your own healthy snacks, right? Versus not only spend a fortune, but buy the unhealthy snack airport. Like that's not weird. Like we need to flip the script and make wellness normal and the routine, and then everything else should be weird, air quotes, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so weird. Like, I wonder why it is not the norm. Like
I don't know.
I always I wonder where that like I wonder where that comes from. Like, why is it not normal for us to take care of ourselves? Like, I know one of the things, so you have so many different roles, Amanda. Like, you're a mom to two
Yeah.
girls, you're a business owner, you're a wife, you are yourself, right? Like, to take care of your own needs. And I hear this a lot from moms in particular that they feel selfish when they are engaging in those acts of self care. Like, did you ever feel that way, or do you feel that way, or what does that look
No,
like?
no. It's, I've never felt that way. I've always been an advocate for self-care, because you can't, I cannot be the best wife, mother, daughter, friend if I'm not taking care of myself. So there's a big stigma on, self-care is selfish. And we're not talking, I mean, I think self-care is just taking care of yourself, eating breakfast, like, like don't skip meals because you don't have time to eat because you're doing all these other things for all these other people, right? Don't skip your workout because you don't have time. Make the time. And it's not self, and those are self-care things like going to get your nails done, getting a massage, like, yes, that's self-care, but those are like the extras and like the fluffy self-care, although massage is actually really beneficial and not so fluffy, but getting your nails done, or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's so important because if your cup isn't full, you cannot pour into others. If I am not my best, I'm not a good mom. If I don't eat breakfast, I'm like, what is wrong with me? I'm so grumpy. I'm so irritable. Oh, I haven't eaten. And it's, 10 o'clock and I've fed my kids three times already, but I haven't even fed myself, you know?
Yeah.
And then, of course, it's like the second I put something in my mouth, I'm like, okay, here we go. There's mom,
Yeah.
and then I can like calm down. But it's just a matter of like taking that time for yourself, I think, and that's another thing I feel like with the, I don't know, not downfall, but seeing that lack of care for ourselves and wellness, it's tied into that whole self-care is selfish thing. And it's really not. Like we deserve to take care of ourselves, and then the other roles in life that we have signed up for, like I didn't sign up to be me. I'm just me. But I did sign up to be a wife and a mom and, you know, people, in jobs like an employee or whatever, like you signed up for those things. So you have to show up as your best self. And the only way you can be your best self is to take care of yourself, you know? So moving for a few minutes a day, and something is better than nothing. And I think, we had talked about that before as well. Like a little bit is better than nothing. A 5 or 10 minute workout is better than no workout. Eating something, throw a piece of chicken in your mouth, right? Like grab a banana, like whatever you can find, like is better than not eating, and then you can work from there. But it's just get started, just do the thing, do whatever it is you need to do to get started and get in the right direction. And then you can build and change your habits from there. But if you don't start somewhere, then you have nothing, you have nothing to give.
Yeah. What what does that conversation look like, or what do you share with like with your daughters or with like your husband, like when you're like, okay, mom needs like this time, or like what, because even I'm thinking about that, like just in like supporting my coaching clients, the ability to communicate your needs is really difficult. Like, so it requires us to one, know that we need, insert whatever. And then two, it requires us to be able to communicate that out to those that are around us, right? Like of like, okay, I need
Right.
to take an hour and go to the gym, or,
Mm-hmm.
mom's off limits for 15 minutes as I get home, to decompress or whatnot, right? Like we have
Yeah.
to articulate those needs out to the people that are around us. Like, how does that conversation go for you?
I mean, it's just that, it's just having the conversation. And I think we do a really good job at communicating and, working together. I do, will be in a really good routine for a long time. And then whatever, the schedule changes or, life gets busy and then we kind of like start to trickle off. And then that is when I'm like, okay, I need my time. And you can fall out of your patterns, or you can start forming bad habits and get out of the good ones. But it's just about that communication. And I think when we establish good routines, and like I said, like this is just how we live, my girls just know, like it's not even a matter of really communicating it. They're only 4 and 2. So yes, we can communicate, but they just know, like this is
Yeah.
just our routine. This is just what we do. This is, mommy's role, daddy's role. This is how we work together as a family. And then when we do, if we it happens, we fall out of routine. It's just about having that communication, and then just really making sure that, like, yeah, your spouse, your partner is on board, and having a support team outside of it. It's bigger than just our immediate family unit. It's having friends and family to support and help as well. And that's huge.
So true, because I have shared this for a long time. Like I can tell when a woman is going to be successful based on what she's willing to share with her partner in her wellness like journey, as far as like what her goals are. And when she's able to articulate it out and her partner is supportive, it is a game changer, right? Like, because
Oh,
then
yeah.
it becomes a new norm of your family and a new standard where people do know. And also what's cool is they can catch you too, of like, hey, we're noticing, like, oh, you feel a little bit off, or hey, you haven't gone to the gym, right? Like they're part of your
Yes.
support team. It's not just on you to do like all the things. And the reason why I bring this up is because I work with a lot of moms, and like that is a big part of the conversation of like, well, I can't do that, right? Like, oh, it's selfish for me to say that, or like I just like don't have the ability to do it. And I want to show that that is a limiting belief, and two, there are more and more moms in particular that are advocating for this to be like your base requirement to not only be like healthy for yourself, but also for your family, and for
Yeah.
women to hear it, right? Like that it's not being selfish, it's actually being really proactive for you and your family and your friends, like those that are around you. It
Mhm.
impacts so many
Yeah.
different things. So I love that.
Well, and I think we just have to, teaching my girls, it's by taking care of myself, I'm teaching them to take care of themselves, and that they matter. Their health and wellness matter. And they're learning that from me. And if I, did it any other way, then they would be learning XYZ. I'm going to say, I don't want to say bad habits, or, like not living that their life to their fullest, because they're watching me. And so I can't imagine any other way of living, because by doing what I do, by taking care of myself, I am teaching them that they matter, because everything I do is for them. So they see what I do, and then it just becomes part of their life. Like that's all they know.
Mhm.
And then they can carry that on for future generations to their kids. And, so I feel like it would be a disservice if I wasn't teaching them by through my own actions.
Ugh, I just got the goosebumps as you said that, of like they matter. Well, one, first and foremost, you matter, and two, like it's really showing your girls that they too also matter, like their
Yeah.
needs, their wants, their desires, everything. Like I love that,
Mhm.
and wish that I could shout that from the rooftops, because
I know.
in so many ways we're saying that when we don't care for ourselves, is I don't matter, and that's not true.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, we could go like and talk. I mean, I could talk about that topic for forever. But as we're looking at again, it's January, we're getting started, and maybe we know this to be true. Those that are tuning in, they're like, yes, like I understand this, but how do we really get started from like actionable steps? Like what was like your first step, or what would you tell women like it could be potentially their first step in really starting to advocate for their own needs, or caring for themselves, or taking care of their body essentially? What would that look
Yeah.
like?
I think knowing that it doesn't have to be one big overnight change, right? Like, especially being the new year, I think a lot of people probably women specifically, you know, you set your New Year's resolutions, your intentions, and it's like go big or go home. And you will fail. I promise you, you will fail like 10 times out of 10 if you try to do it all at once. That like sit down and set the big picture and make your goal the entire year, right? It's a new year resolution. You have the whole year, you have your whole lifetime to change yourself, right? The whole rest of your lifetime. And I feel like it's just ever evolving. And so it doesn't have to be. And I mean, I used to be the first one to have the big New Year, you know, resolution. And 2 weeks in, it's like I'm falling off the wagon because I didn't go to the gym and I didn't eat healthy and I had a cookie and I, you know, went out with my girlfriends one night and okay, well, just I'll start next year. Next year, that's, you know, if you only miss 2 weeks, that's 340 more days away, right? Like that's a long time. Um, so definitely sit down and plan what you want to do and think of where do you want to make the changes. Do you want to change? Do you not move your body and you need to start moving every day? Do you need to, you know, change the way that you eat? Do you need to change the, you know, toxic products in your home, whether it's cleaning products, you know, your self-care products, personal care? Look at where you need and want to make the changes and then decide what's most important. What is going to benefit you and the people in your life, your lifestyle, you know, how whether you're working parent, mom, not mom, whatever it is, you know, staying at home, whatever your lifestyle is, what is going to benefit you the most if you start today? And then have it stack and build upon each other. So once you have a really solid foundation with, let's say, moving your body, then you can incorporate the next habit. Okay, now what do you want to focus on? I want to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep. Focus on that. Now I have a solid routine with that. And then you just build on it. And then it doesn't have to be overwhelming. And then that's how you make it a lifestyle because it's not just a one night overnight change. I'm going to do all of these things. I fell off the wagon and I'm going to go back to my old habits. That's not a lifestyle. A lifestyle is literally the rest of your life, ever changing, ever evolving, learning new things, building your on top of one another, and sometimes realizing, you know what, that sucked. That was wrong. That didn't work. I was way off base. I got to change it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you 6 months in, you realize, okay, this isn't working, and then you change it. Like that's a lifestyle, and that's I feel like for me personally, the only way you can make it stick and work and not feel overwhelmed. And that's the big thing.
Yeah. Gosh, and also with that philosophy, I feel like there's a lot less pressure to be perfect,
Yeah.
but really to step into be like the progressing aspect, right? Like, because I hear, especially, you know, come the new year of like, you know, 6 weeks this or 8 weeks that.
Yeah.
And it maybe again, like this is not to demonize those programs. But it is really to look at is, like you said, is that going to work for you? And is this going to help with creating a habit that you can continue with, right? Like, so what happens after those 6 weeks? Like the
Right.
things that you're doing in that 6 week time frame, I like to ask the question, is that something that you can do for the rest of your life? And
Yeah.
if the answer is no, then how can we modify it so that it's something that come 2024 you like you're still actively engaging in because it is now part of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it also reminds me just like the evolution too. Like there's, you know, where we're building a strong foundation, and then that foundation really allows us to continue to grow and reach like new heights versus like having a really weak foundation and not really sure what you're doing or feeling overwhelmed when you're doing it. That's going to crumble very, very easily when real life hits you, which is going to
Yes.
happen,
Yes,
definitely.
exactly. Well, and I think too, like you said, having that foundation, when you have a strong foundation, you have at least something to fall back on, right? So if you have a solid foundation in one specific area, even if everything else goes wrong for the day, the week, the month, as long as you have that one solid foundation, you're still ahead of the game. You're still moving the needle forward, right? Because you
Mhm.
have that base, and then everything else can just kind of like fit itself in and layer upon it.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
I also like how you shared like really taking time to do that as like the lifestyle assessment, if you will.
Mhm.
Because this is something that I do in my own routine. Like, so I know from a nutrition end, I'm pretty strong. Like the nutrition is a strength of mine, thank goodness, right? Like based on my profession, it ideally it should be, right? And it's easier for me to like make the nutrition stuff work, go grocery shopping. Like I actually enjoy doing those things, so it's not a problem. But my weak point is movement. It's very easy for me to stay more like stagnant, if you will, because of just like working longer hours. And so when I realized that for myself, it was looking at where can I gather support in that area to make sure that doesn't remain my weak spot. So, like, as you're
Yes.
looking or just like assessing your own routine for this year, like look at what are your strengths, what feels a little bit easier to you, and really be able to move in that direction. And then what feels as a weaker point, really be able to, instead of ask for help, I like say gather support. Like you mentioned, like it
Yeah.
takes a team. It's not just about yourself, like doing all of it. It takes so many different team members. But
Mhm.
gather that support so that you have that accountability, and you know, and those people like, no, okay, like we know that this is maybe a weak spot for her, and so we're just going to really be able to help guide, support, encourage, really make
Yeah.
sure that it's a focus area as you continue to refine your wellness
Yeah.
plan.
Well, and I think too, that's where, like you mentioned, those like 6 weeks, 8 week challenges or, things like that. That's where they can really have a valuable place, right? Is if you do have a weak spot and you just need a little bit of that little push, right? If you know yourself and you know yourself well enough to know I'm doing this as the push that I need, or I know that I will continue this after the challenge is over. Those can be really beneficial in helping move the needle forward in those specific areas where you do feel stuck. And then gather, get a friend to do it with you, and you have extra support and extra accountability there, and that's really huge, and we make it fun.
Yeah. Is there
Yeah.
anything in particular that you're working towards this year, Amanda?
Yes. So I am working with a few women to plan a women's wellness retreat. I don't have all the details yet, but it is coming and I'm so excited about it. Um, so just, nutrition and movement and some breath work and meditation and just that I'm going to call it the fluffy self-care where it is a retreat. So it's outside of your daily take care of yourself at home, but get away from it all and take care of yourself at that really like deeper soul level. And then you can come back to your family, to your job, to whatever, to real life refreshed and but carry those habits, with you and incorporate it into your daily life. So I'm really excited for the wellness retreat coming, and then I will be offering wellness lifestyle mentorships as well.
Awesome. What is that going to
Yeah.
look like then from a mentorship program? Because like mentorship's
Yeah.
different than, well, so I've heard a lot of different ways, but so mentor, I think of something different than a coach or like what
Yeah.
is, so I love that terminology though, because
Yes.
it's really being able to support at the same level as someone. So what does that look like?
Yeah. So mentoring, like I said in the beginning, like having that person that's relatable and real and walking you through it. So less of like a coach is like, I'm the expert and I'm going to tell you how to do these things. Whereas as a mentor, I'm going to not only come from my own personal experience and incorporate it into your experience and how it fits with your life, but creating a general wellness lifestyle plan that you can do alongside me, alongside your friend, alongside, the next person in the group, because while it is different for everyone, it is also very much the same as far as building those foundational habits. And I really believe that I I think we all do better with that connection with someone to do it with. And if it is a true lifestyle, I'm still living this lifestyle. So I'm going to do it with you. I'm not just going to tell you what to do and then sit back and like, eat the cookies, eat the ice cream while you're like, okay, go run a lap, like
Yeah.
that's like a coach, right? Like the coaches, and nothing, not knocking coaching by any means, but like, I grew up playing sports, as you know, and, you know, that the coach is on the sideline telling you how to play the game.
Right.
I'm going to be in there. I'm going to be in the game with you. Like that's me. So that's what you can expect from my mentorship packages is we're going to do it together, and we're going to do it in a way that does not feel overwhelming and that can sustain.
Awesome. I look forward to
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So, where can people connect with you?
So I am mostly active on Instagram. I'm a little bit Amanda. So it's a little bit underscore Amanda. And if anyone is familiar with Schitt's Creek, that's a little nod to Alexis, a little bit Alexis. Uh, and although I can't do the dance like her, so don't ask. But yeah, I'm mostly on Instagram. And then I have a website, amandamarchini.com, and you can find me there.
Awesome. We'll make sure to put your
Yeah.
Instagram and also your website in the show notes. Any last words that you'd like to share with women as they're starting their wellness journey for this year?
Just know and believe that you deserve to be well. I think that's the biggest thing that I want women especially to know is you deserve it. I think all too often we feel like we don't deserve to be taken care of and to take care of ourselves for whatever reason, whether it's because we have too much on our plates, we have to take care of everyone else. Maybe, someone has told us somewhere or made us believe, we have these limiting beliefs that we aren't deserving of a happy, healthy life. And I just want women to know that they deserve it. And you can do it, you can achieve it. And it's really not that hard.
Yeah, I love it. I'll end with you are worthy and you hold the value. And we
Yes,
just got
I
to
love that.
convince you to believe that, right?
Yes.
That is the goal.
Yes.
We,
Yes.
from the outside in, we see the worth and we see the value. And once you are convinced of that for yourself, you are unstoppable. And that's really what I love most about being well and feeling powerful is that you get to achieve whatever you want to achieve. So,
Yeah.
Amanda, thank you so much for sharing and being an advocate, not only for yourself, but also for women and to continue this conversation.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day today to tune in. If you love today's content, leave me a review letting me know exactly what you liked best, and remember to share my podcast with others to join the Nourish You community. If you want more great content like this between episodes, I encourage you to join my mailing list. You can click the link below in the show notes or check out my website at www.healthwins.org, and let's stay in touch. Until next time, I'm Jana. Talk soon.